Hey everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Bugsmashers. We're pretty much in a brand new office, smashing the same old bugs. Well, new bugs, same bugs, old, new bugs. But today I want to show you some of the bugs we have fixed thanks to you guys submitting those issues into the issue council. So let's get started. Bugsmashers! Hey everyone. Welcome to Visual Studio. I'm going to show you guys a couple crashes that we have resolved thanks to you guys reporting them in the issue council. So this first crash that we got is anytime you shoot a gun and it doesn't have a particle effect, or I should say it doesn't have a barrel assigned to it. So on our guns we have one barrel guns, like a standard weapon, and then we have other weapons that have there's one with a triangle where it shoots the top one, then the bottom one, then the right one. And basically designers go crazy with these weapons, and you could assign multiple barrels and how they shoot and interact. It's pretty cool. But unfortunately, we have some weapons that don't have barrels, and when they try to pick an effect off a barrel, the game crashes. We'll probably have to fix that in the design XML so that we have a barrel on the weapon. But for now, we can at least prevent this crash from happening. And it's actually really simple. We just take this bit of code and plop it down in the nice safe area that checks to make sure that, well, we actually have barrels. This was a code change done by Jesse in the UK, and it has resolved our dedicated servers from crashing. Woo! Go Jesse. So I'm going to show you guys the next guy. Here we are in our lovely landing gear system. So we have our ship, and it has pretend it's a little landing things, where if you, let's say, probably like this, when I land down, it might deploy out, and if I go away, it might deploy back. These are not entities, but just pure geometry that gets controlled by one master entity. So we could have a bunch of geometry everywhere, and they don't have to be a bunch of entities. It's just one that controls them all. And if we ever break the ship and split it, at the moment, we used to just hide the geometry. But unfortunately, those pieces of geometry are still bound to the vehicle animation. So if sometime later they would get removed because of that debris piece, we stick those things onto a debris piece, it will crash because the vehicle still thinks it owns them in the animation. And it tries to access them and goes boom. So if I use this little bit of code, this new code done by Steven in the UK, he'll actually get the vehicle and the action controller, which is basically the thing that controls the animations for the vehicle. And if we basically remove this bit of attachment, we make sure to clear any animations that are on or tied to this thing on the vehicle. And once that's done, we remove the attachment, and this thing can be attached to other things, removed, or do whatever we want, and we won't crash. So that was a pretty cool little crash thing there. Finally, we have a fun little crash that Paul Randell has done. So before, I should say, well, this one's a little bit tricky, but we have our vehicle, and he moves, and he sends information to the server, and the server sends information to clients, and we keep track of the history so that we could send basically snapshots. So I could send information here, and maybe information over here. And as the other client moves, he will basically interpolate between those points to simulate him moving. We don't want to send too many snapshots because that will introduce lag. So we introduce just enough so that they're far away that we can interpolate between them. Now in this interpolation, we were sending pure world space coordinates, and then we're assigning the position based on that directly into physics. Problem is, if I am in world space here, and over here, I am now in a local entity grid, like say a Retaliator or Constellation, and the Hornet decides to smack into it, he may enter that grid. Or if the ship explodes and splits in half, the grid, well, that ship might enter the grid now because the grid has become separated. There are all sorts of funness, but basically a vehicle can enter a grid. And when that happens, we're still sending world space coordinates, but physics still is thinking that that is local space. So when you send that big, gigantic, huge position into this grid, it's thinking it's relative to that space. So the world space here might be 2000 by 2000 by 2000, but we're doing it local to the grid, and its position might be 2000, 2000, 2000, but it's going to be relative to this. So it's going to get the position here and then move it 2000, 2000 way over there, even though it should be here. And if you get it big enough, you'll actually crash inside because in our local grid, we only capture 32-bit precision because we don't need that much in a local space. And if you're sending in this big, huge number, you'll overflow it, and then you get some naughty numbers, and physics just goes, oh my God, and then it explodes. So what Paul has done is if we are sending a snapshot, recording a snapshot, we make sure to record the grid that we're in. And anytime we set or get positions, it will be now relative to that grid. So if I have a world space and a world space here, this will get transformed to the entity grid here, and it will be in a position that's not world space, but relative to that grid. So this will be world, this will be to the grid. And now we can interpolate between those points and everything will work fancy dancy. That was actually a pretty naughty crash, and there was a couple things going back and forward, but it seems to be doing okay. And finally, there were some good fixes getting done by Chris Rain in the Frankfurt office. He's been going up and down chasing physics, trying to find all these naughty dangling pointers, thread issues, allocation things. You know, if a thread here and a thread here decide to access the same thing, and thread A is like, I'm gonna remake all the memory, and B's like, I'm gonna touch that, kaboom. So we have a lot of crashes going on and a lot of guys working on some fixes, but thanks to you guys, posting on the issue council, we've been able to track those down and get them fixed. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Bugsmashers. Thanks to you guys, posting those issues on the issue council, we were able to track down some problems, fix a bunch of crashes. I mean, all the studios, the LA studio, the UK studio, the Austin studio, even the Frankfurt studio, we're all looking for these bugs that you guys have been reporting, fix after fix after fix. Just today, I saw a bunch from the UK and Frankfurt office, a whole bunch of crash fixes. So keep it up. We're going to make this build stable, and see you next time.
This video made possible by the ICC Stellar Surveyors and subscribers like you.